Well, welcome back to Not Just Lessons from Our Animals. I'm Emma. I am an animal communicator, healer, and teacher. I am a guide for humans back to their authentic self. I am a messenger for Mama G and a conduit for the divine. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you are seeing my handy dandy nighttime blue light glasses and a semi-dark room because I don't love a lot of light. Um, in the evening time when it's dark out. And maybe I'll do an episode on this at some point of talking about just like blue light and how it affects our body and circadian rhythm, how it's disrupted with traditional lights and all these different things. So anyway, I thought about turning on more lights and I thought, that would be very inauthentic of me. So here we are. This is actually a little bit more light than I normally hang out in. So anyway, none of that is what we are talking about today. And I feel like there was something else I was going to talk about, but anyway, um, this this afternoon I was thinking about, like what are some episodes, some topics that would be really interesting to talk about from an animal perspective. And this dropped in, and I'm so grateful that it did. And it was essentially a conversation around, how our animals feel when we are going through stuff, right? So, when you're going through a time in your life, whether it's a massive transition, it's a transformation, it's a rebirth, it's a rock bottom moment to be rebuilt, like whatever the thing is that we can sometimes not always show up as like our best selves, right? We show up as the best version of ourselves in that we can be in that moment or in that period of our life, but it's not necessarily the best version that we want to be, maybe, or we have been in the past because we might be, oh, this is interesting that my camera got all weird. Um, because we might be, really close to the end of our fuse, right? And like really quick to anger, or we might be just like not as excited about life or about going on and doing different adventures. We might feel worry and stress and depression and anxiety, right? Like we might be in these like really heavy, big feelings and energies that our animals are also going to feel too, right? Regardless, but also depending how much we're spending time with them, right? Whether it's a dog that's with you all the time versus a cat that maybe spends half, I'm like talking about my own experience, spends half their time outside, half their time inside, or even horses that like you may not see every day. But they're all going to feel it just in different capacities. And so, right, like we are doing the best we can in this moment, and but how are they experiencing it, right? How are they feeling about the fact that maybe we aren't doing all the things that we maybe used to be doing, or we're not doing them in the same with the same energy that we used to do them in, or they're sitting kind of in this heavier energy than maybe they're used to for us. Like, what is that impact on them? Because I was thinking about it personally, right? Because the past many years and the past few months specifically have been, I mean, this whole year has been just a lot. And so, I definitely have been very quick to anger, like not having a lot of patience, like all of the more uh for lack of a better word, negative side to the Aries has been Aries sun and moon. So like that a lot of those have been very active for me, especially with my animals where I'm like, I just wish you could, I need you to do what I know you can do without me needing to do anything, you know? And so I connected in with my dog tonight and asked him. you know. And I always love when I connect in with an animal and they're already prompting about the conversation we're about to have, or they ask the questions that come later on in the conversation, or they've already answered them, and then we get to the question later on in the session, and I'll still ask it because usually there'll still be another answer, or there'll be an additional part to the answer. And that happened tonight because he said, "Why are you?" I said, "Hello, love," and he said, "Why are you?" Well, he said, "Hi, mom," but then he said, "Why are you so down all the time?" So this conversation is with my dog Ranger, and if any of you have seen or done the trend that I'm seeing on social media right now, that's like, there's for me it would be there'll be a dog that comes into your life in your 20s, and it's really important that you adopt him. And a lot of people are doing it for different things, right? Like I saw one about a raccoon like showing up in this woman's 40s that's like really important to, make become friends with. And so all these different things. And that trend is so real for him and I. He came into my life in my 20s and has literally changed my life. He's been the catalyst for literally everything. Um, and we've been through so much. He's 12 now, 12 years in a few months. And I adopted him at almost 6 months. And we've been in each other's lives for a full 12 years, almost 12 years in a month, if we want to get really specific. And yeah, just like literally the catalyst for everything. So, like, this was a really important question because he's been through so many different seasons of my life. He's seen so many different versions of me, which, in my opinion, have only gotten better and better and better, like more and more and more authentic. And then, not to say I haven't been authentic this past year, but it's been twinged with that, like the heaviness of what this year has brought. But with that, like, and I'm not saying anything bad about it because with the heaviness has brought so much growth, has brought so much releasing, has brought so much healing, has brought so many, I mean, like different entities essentially like into my life. And so all of this was for sure needing to happen. And you'll kind of see this in the message. And so I'm not saying any of this is like a negative, like it's all been positive in its own way. Uh, there's you still are going through it, right? It's the whole human experience of it all. So I asked him, you know, these past few years and especially the past few months, mostly this year, have been really hard. And so, I mean, went on for a whole paragraph, but there have been pockets of like really greatness and pockets of despair and anxiety and everything in between. And you've had to deal with the short-temperedness and the lack of energy or excitement, the wanting to do less and not wanting to engage a lot. And I wanted to ask you, how has that felt for you? How you feel about it all and how it has impacted you. So that's what I said to him. And he had a lot to say in return. So I just want to read it all. I thought about just like highlighting some of the things, but then I felt like, why? Like, let's just read it all because no, this isn't necessarily how your animal is going to respond. And this just goes to show that we can assume. Assuming is not always helpful because we might assume, oh, they feel it in a very negative way, and that may not be the case. Okay. So this is his response now. He said, "Oh, well, that is a good question, and one that I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about because it has just been part of the journey and the process and the day, It hasn't been something that I've sat and dwelled upon. So I guess that sort of answers it. Though I will say that I do miss seeing your heart sing and the energy palpate, I think was the word. I heard it differently in my head, but I think that's the actual word. And the energy palpate in a way that brings in love and inspiration and good news. And I haven't felt that from you in quite some time. I know you're in a season for that to be less, for the good and easy to kind of go underground and get ready for the reemergence later. But it is still sad to see you sad sometimes. I wish there was more. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get emotional rereading this. I wish there was more I could do to help you, but you were and are also right on time and on your path. If you weren't going through it all, then you wouldn't be on your path. I know that doesn't always feel super fair, but that is the life we both signed up for, and we are both holding up our end of the bargain with it all too. I know that things have been hard with some of the ailments that the rest of us, meaning the animals, have come down with, but that has been by design too. We aren't trying to kill you with fear and worry. We are trying to break the shell that is keeping you hiding and stuck behind a wall of quote unquote supposed to's and how the rest of the world does it. You are meant to do it differently, and we are forcing you into that role in as loving of a way that we possibly can. So I guess I feel okay about it all because I know this is what has to happen and how things need to unfold. Is it fun to see you go through it and not be able to take it all away and make it light and fun and airy again? No, that isn't fun at all. And so, just as you have been going through it, we have been going through it in our own way too. Because there are parts of a journey that you are not able to manipulate or change in any way or any meaningful way that has been and or any meaningful way. And that has been the case for us for quite some time. You have done the work and you have done such a great job, and we are happy to walk alongside you all the way through. Just please know that you are not alone and that we will be walking with you all the way through. And I feel like that. So, I mean, there's some things in there that I feel really important, like the fact that there are parts of a journey that our animals, our guides, right, can't shift or manipulate in a way to like take it away because you actually are needing to walk through that. You're actually needing to go through that experience, that situation, that feeling, that whatever, so that you can learn, come through, gain experience, skill, knowledge, whatever, for the other side, for whatever the next breadcrumb is, and the next breadcrumb, and the next breadcrumb, and the next breadcrumb. I mean, one of the things that this past year especially has taught me is surrender in a deeper way that I have never known before in this lifetime. And I wouldn't have been able to get there if I wasn't pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pulled and then pushed and then pulled and then put, like and so I think it's such a great reminder for us to say, yeah, okay, great. We have guides. We have animals, we have unseen guides, we have mentors, like we have all these things, right? I feel like this message is also like a little bit similar to the divine timing episode I did that it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you're doing all the things or if astrologically and energetically it's like prime time, that this might be the part of your journey where nothing gets to touch whatever has already been laid out for you. That you can have all the luck in the world on your side, and you still have to go through all these different obstacles or all these different situations and scenarios, and it might feel like you have zero luck, right? And it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's that this is what you need to do in order to do and be who you came here to do and be. And so I mean, there's so many things that animals or entities or guides will say that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like so obvious now that you say it. And, likely something I thought, believed subconsciously, but now that you bring it forward and like, oh wow, like I love that. And that is one of these things, right? Like we talk about animals being super healing, and they are, and sometimes their healing is pushing us to the edge. in whatever way possible so that we can be on our path. Like, I mean, Ranger did that for sure, but like to get me on my path of what I need to be doing and what I need to know and how I can help others. So I think that's really important for us to just like remember, right? That they can't take it away always, you know? And not that we give them that job. And, you know, if you're ever thinking like, gosh, I wish they would do this more for me, you might be in a part of your journey that they're not allowed to. And you need it. You need it because you need to learn how to walk with it. You need to learn how to see it in a different way. You need to learn how to accept it and love it and like integrate it into your body. Right? You are needing to have a different relationship with it, which is why you maybe keep having this experience or you keep having these feelings, you keep having whatever the thing is. So, I don't know if there's anything else actually. I just thought this was a really interesting kind of conversation to think up and because I know so many people have been going through it this year. Talk about a universal 9 year just like, you know, hitting us all in a pretty big way, which again, you know, makes sense in a lot of ways. And the fact too, so like even if you went back to the next or to the last 9 year and it maybe not feeling quite as intense. Maybe it did. I think, was it 20? Hold on. I'm going to do the math because I can't do it in my head. I was right when I said 2016. So if you go back to, although now like 2016 was a shit show for me too. So maybe it was, you know, a shit show for you too. Like 2016 was right before I got onto this journey. Um yeah, wow. Okay, anyway. So right, some of us may not have felt it quite as intensely, or maybe we did, and we just didn't understand it as much. And I say all that to say there are so many more awakened souls. The energy is so much higher now that it makes to me it makes sense that this would be a really hard year for a lot of people because so many people are being asked to step up into their soul's gifts, into their path, into what they came here to do. And so, with that, activation is going to come an initiation, and that initiation can look so many different ways. And maybe I'm getting off topic here, but that's what I'm good at. Right? Initiations can be a whole like health crisis, but initiation can also be a very energetic, mental kind of crisis. I feel like I've had both at this point, though I want to, and my friend and I are going to have this conversation somewhere. I don't know if it'll be on the podcast because I do think it'll be like a multi-part situation because I think it's just so important. It's such an important way of understanding, I think, ourselves. I'm very much a mind person. So I did to like very distill it down, I'm not very sensitive when it comes to a lot of things. So whether it was medication, I was actually just having this conversation with somebody. As a kid, I had a lot of body pain. Like I had hip pain starting when I was 13. And so I took pills like they were candy, like ibuprofen by the handful. Aleve, like I would take 5 Aleve at a time. I think the bottle says one. Though my mom did get a doctor's opinion, and that's what they had said. Like that's the prescription amount. I don't know. Don't This is not medical advice. I don't know if that's still true because I'm not even close to 13 anymore. So like, you know, it might be different. But I'm just saying, like, I would take in 2016 when I had a whole body situation with my back, I would take Percocet in hopes that it would help me because the only thing the doctors would do would they would offer to prescribe pain meds, muscle relaxers, and or sleeping pills. And I said, those are all unhelpful and not what I'm here for at all. Anyway, all of this to say, I would take them. They didn't really do anything. I drink caffeine. It doesn't really do anything. So I say all of that to say, like, I'm not super sensitive. Like my body's not super sensitive. I have a lot of, I have a lot of crystals around me. Until I get to a certain threshold, it doesn't really affect me. So, um, all that to say that my initiations have been more a like existential crisis. So that might be the way that you are initiated into whatever your soul's gifts are, the next level of your soul's gifts, because I feel like my initiations have come not through uncovering, remembering animal communication, but everything that came after that. So, anyway, I've gotten so off topic. So, we'll just like wrap this up now. So, all that to say, if you also have been going through it and you have animals and you have been like, I feel bad that I haven't been doing more things with them, because I definitely have felt that more so with my horses than with anyone else. If you feel like you've been like shorter tempered and they're getting like your impatience snapping out at them from time to time, if your energy and excitement and everything hasn't been to where it has been in the past that you like to bring to a relationship, all these different things, I think it's important to ask the animals their perception of it. Oh, I was going to say this. Okay, I'll just finish my thought here. To ask them and not just say like, oh gosh, I'm such a bad guardian or I'm such a bad parent, and instead engage with them to see actually what's their side of it. Because Ranger, I mean, what he started off by saying like, uh it's not one I've spent a lot of time thinking about, right? It's not something I've dwelled upon. It's been part of the process. And so it's not something I've like sat here and been like, gosh, I really wish she would like stop being this version of herself, you know? Um, I'm not saying all animals are going to respond this way. This is not a blanket response for everyone's situation. And I think it's a nice way to start to engage with our animals to say, like, how have you been affected by this? And then, maybe how can we come back together in a more like deep and holistic and loving way that, allows for forgiveness and all the things. Because also I did ask my cat, and she said, I haven't even noticed really. I think it's fine. You're fine. We're all doing our best. Keep it up. I was like, yeah, that felt on par. So anyway, if you are also going through it, I am sending you so much love because I feel you, and you're not alone. If you are feeling alone, you're not alone. You're not alone going through it. And because there's at least I'm going through it also. Also, I mean, I will say one of the most common messages I get from animals for their people is that they're not alone. And it's not even because they have their animal, it's because their guides and their ancestors are with them. Their angels, their guardians, whoever it is, are with that person. And that, yeah, you may not see that you're surrounded, but that you have others around, that you are not alone. So you're not alone, and you're not alone going through it. All right. I'm sending you all so much love, and I will talk to you all very soon.